So we're going to put up on the screen a few of the things that are part of your platform, and I want to ask you, just give me sort of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate.
True.
Okay. Replace the presidency and Supreme Court as we now know them.
Yep.
Abolish ICE.
Absolutely.
Abolish borders and give amnesty to anyone currently in the U.S. illegally.
As a long-term plan, yep.
Defund the Pentagon.
Absolutely.
Abolish prisons, at least in large part.
Yeah, again, that as part of a long-term program, yeah.
Okay, so no prisons. Government or public ownership of most large corporations.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got to talk about Joe Rogan because he recently did a show with Andrew Wilson in which he said some pretty interesting things. And I want to talk about it because he really went at the Democrat Party. There's a couple of different spots where he did it, but one in particular, which was hilarious, is this part that I'm about to show you. But man, when you have individuals who basically were Democrats, I mean, Joe Rogan is a guy who spoke out loud and proud in support of Bernie Sanders not very long ago. Like, this isn't like some far right extremist, some MAGA extremist as mainstream media would like to try to paint him as. This is genuinely someone who was a Democrat and openly supported a Democrat in Bernie Sanders. We all remember that. And now he is like, yeah, this has gone way too far. And I want to talk about it because this is going to put the Democrat Party in quite the pickle. And I don't see them finding their way out of this one. So with that being said, make sure you guys smack that like button, subscribe if you are new, and let's jump into it.
But it's the idea comes from a good place. I know in their heart of hearts they think that they're being kind and they think that they're doing the right thing. They really do. They think they're being inclusive. They think they're righting the wrongs of colonialism. They really think that. Yeah. And they think that this idea of democratic socialism is a really good idea because there are some examples of socialist policies that do work, like the fire department, and there's a bunch of stuff that makes sense. But the problem with enforcing any of this stuff that they don't understand is it always comes down to power. You have to have massive authority and usually guns because you can't just steal people's money. They're not going to let you. They're not going to let you just come in and decide, hey, we just devised a new tax where everybody who makes more than $500,000 a year, everything over that, you have to give 100% to the state.
Or 95, whatever it is.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing with the argument. Even if you said, oh, wouldn't it be great if they did contribute more and wouldn't it be, but they have so much money, would it set up the world in a better place? Sure. But the fucking program that you have in place that takes the taxes and disseminates it is massively flawed and corrupt. It's corrupt. It's filled with waste. Filled with waste. There's scammers all over the place. You've got $24 billion missing in just the homeless in California. And then they veto the audits when everybody's trying to find out. So just saying
that's just the tip of the iceberg.
More taxes is what we need is nuts. The first thing you should do is clean your fucking house. Clean your house. If you want more money, you got to figure out what you did with the first money. Why is there so much waste? Why is there so much money missing? Why do you have 38,000 NGLs? Why do the people running the homeless business, because it is a business, why are they making $750,000? That's a lot of money.
It's a lot to administrate the homeless camps, Joe.
Yeah, they need to eat well. They need to go to Felix and have a nice dinner.
It's hilarious to me, too. You saw all the waste and fraud that's been going on in these various states when it comes to elder people getting their funds, right?
Yes.
You've seen all of this happening. And of course, they're all trying to run away from it as quickly as possible. But this is the problem, and I bring it back kind of to this idea of the class system. When you have under universal suffrage especially, when you have the voters outnumber the wealthy, you can just vote yourself a raise. You can always vote yourself more money from whatever the upper class is. And that has been progressive dogma and doctrine since I was a kid. The entire idea is, hey, things are fundamentally unfair, and that's not your fault. So what we have to do is get together and vote ourselves a raise from the upper class. That's what we got to do. But it fundamentally ignores how wealth is created. And wealth is not created by giving somebody money.
Right.
But what happens when you give somebody money is they go and spend it, but they usually don't use it to generate wealth. It almost never, in fact, they use it to generate wealth. And so you vote yourself these raises, you vote yourself from the public treasury money to yourself. But what does it actually do for you ultimately? Because that's not how you generate wealth. Ever.
Not only that, you incentivize people to move to a place that's more friendly to their economic ideas.
True. You also, but one of the fundamental kind of ideas here that's flawed, how many times can you vote yourself the wealth of those above you
Right.
before they have no more wealth to give you? Out east, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, they're making some absolutely amazing points. This whole thought process of, yeah, I'm just going to continually tax these people to fund, these government services is just silly. Because what happens when you run out? The problem is they don't really have to face that question. They don't really have to really deal with that answer. And Destiny, the famous streamer Destiny, the leftist streamer, even spoke about this, right? It sounds good. It sounds great when you're talking about it. But the truth is you don't really have to deal with any of the hard problems that come along with that because people are just focused on the good stuff and the bad stuff won't happen for a little while. So you can just put that on the back burner. It's the same thing with these government grocery stores that Mamdani has started, right? In the end, it's going to fail. But in the short term, it's going to seem like a fantastic idea. Look how well this is working, right? Until it isn't, And that's the way this all works, It's good until you run out of somebody else's money, and then what? And you already kind of see this in these deep blue cities that are being run by these Democrats. For example, Chicago. How many businesses have left Chicago? I forgot the vacancy rate downtown, but it's crazy to the point where the city isn't bringing enough tax dollars in, so they had to raise property taxes. Somebody's got to pay for this, and it's not going to be the rich. I mean, they're rich for a reason. They're typically intelligent, and if they aren't intelligent, they have resources, and they're going to use those resources to maneuver themselves out of that situation. If that means leaving the city, they're going to leave the city. And guess who's going to be stuck with that bill? Regular everyday citizens that voted for the nonsense. They're going to be the ones paying for it. And that's kind of the hilarious part, right? Oh yeah, I want free stuff, free stuff, free stuff. Yay! And they ended up being the ones paying for it themselves. It's just hilarious, man. Absolutely hilarious. He also goes after Mamdani at one point in the same interview. And it's hilarious because Mamdani did something that was quite strange. But of course, these leftist policies and things, they never make any type of sense. Check it out.
But there's so much on the left that's so insane when it comes to contradictions. One of my favorite new ones is the Mamdani grocery stores. They said, how are you going to ensure that people from New York have access to this grocery store? Well, they're going to have to show ID.
But not to vote.
Yes.
But not to vote.
But how crazy is it that your checkers game is so shitty that you're like, oh yeah, here we go. And people are like, do you know what you just did?
Yeah.
Do you know what you just
You just
did?
put yourself at checkmate.
Jesus fucking Christ, that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen anybody say when you just got done saying that you don't want people to show ID for voting. Because it'll
Disenfranchise them.
especially poor people. They're talking about poor people and people of color, which are the people that you would think the poor people are the ones who are going to use your grocery stores. So you're going to disenfranchise them from getting access to your 30% off groceries.
You know what's bizarre about that argument,
They
too?
won't ask for ID. Meaning New Yorkers can buy cheap goods. But they asked him today, and that was what he indicated, that they were going to find out whether or not you're actually from New York. Well, how else are you going to do that?
You have to have ID.
I think this is just a response to the reaction, like saying that. August 3rd, which is today, right?
Yeah.
Right. So this is what they said after what he said. So what he said was yesterday. So there's probably a massive blowback where people realize how crazy it is to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing you find with these communists, right? Now you see a lot of them. What in the world? You see a lot of them backtracking on a lot of their policies because they realize how unpopular it really is. Now they're trying to be a wolf in sheep's clothing, but it's not going to work. Just like with this whole Mamdani situation, he indicated, yeah, we're going to be checking IDs to make sure that you are who you say you are in order to get into this grocery store. And then the blowback came online and this whole story blew up. And now the next day, oh, well, no, we're not going to be checking IDs. But you already said you were. So now you're not? Because you realized how silly it was to say such a thing, to do such a thing. So now how are you going to make sure? Now you're not. So now your store's really going to fail. It's really going to go under. Hey, have at it. Have at it. You can bet your bottom dollar they are scrambling right now to figure out a way to make sure that individuals who shop there actually are from New York. They are scrambling. How can we ensure that they're actually from New York without requiring an ID? Well, you know, the easiest thing would be to just check an ID, but they're scrambling right now. Scrambling. And it's absolutely silly. Absolutely silly. Listen, I wouldn't have any problem with them saying, yeah, we're going to be checking IDs to make sure. No problem. None. I mean, that's reasonable. That makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense is them saying, well, you shouldn't have to have an ID to do one of the most important things we're able to do as Americans in this country, which is vote. But if you want to get into a grocery store, you need an ID. That one doesn't make sense. But then again, like I said before, Democrat ideas and policies never make any type of sense. So it's pointless to try to make sense of it. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all today. Make sure you guys smack that like button, subscribe if you are new. Also, go and subscribe to my second channel. That link is down below in the description box. Hope to see you guys over there. Peace and love. I'm out.